Hey everybody, Luke here, and I used to do Batman reviews. Kind of kidding, sort of. It's been a minute since I did a video, and past couple days I kind of had an itch to do one, but I didn't really know what topic to kind of go over. There's a couple trades, Batman trades, I wanted to kind of talk about, but really didn't wasn't really motivated to talk about them right at this second. I think it's a little too early to do some Bat book reviews. In case you're wondering, did I enjoy the end of Tom King's run? No. Um, so that's still kind of hampering a little bit of my enjoyment of Batman books right now. Just a little bit. It's getting better. Tynan's run so far actually really good, but I'm kind of let it give it a couple more issues before I really want to go, dip my toes back in that Batman reviews water that's out there. But one thing I have been having a lot of fun reading as of late is Black Label. And I think we could safely say Black Label is a pretty successful imprint DC's doing right now. And there's a lot of variety of stuff to read. So I figured, why not? I haven't done like a top 10 or something countdown, and I don't know how long. Even if on this channel, I think I did one way back when, but I think I ended up deleting it. So this might be the first top. I'm gonna call it the top 11 Black Label books that I am reading countdown. That's a long fancy title, but I'll kind of put something in the thumbnail and kind of go back to it. But what I want to do is kind of rank, 11 down to 1, where I kind of rank all the Black Label books I am currently reading. So, a couple rules with this countdown. This is going to be original Black Label titles that I'm talking about. So things like, Joker by Azzarello and Bermejo doesn't apply because that's since been released and repackaged under Black Label label. Things like All-Star Superman. So you get the gist. It's got to be original. Also, it's these are ones that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be still going. They could be done. So if they're original Black Label story that has been released but has since stopped at the time of making this video, it's still eligible to be on the countdown. And I think that's going to be about it. The books I'm pulling out, there's really no rhyme or reason why I picked out a specific issue of the title I'm going to be talking about. Briefly, by the way, I'm going to keep this below 30 minutes if I can. So it was just me just going through my box and just pulling out the random issues in the title, just for a reference point. So, titles that will not be on this countdown. I pretty much read a vast majority of the Black Label books, but there are some caveats. Books from the Sandman universe. I never really got into the Sandman universe, so things like Lucifer, which I heard is pretty good. Things like Dreaming, so forth and so on. One I almost wanted to try was Constantine, but I just only so many books I can read. So Sandman universe will not be on this countdown. Last God. I kind of wanted to give that a shot. The writer is that's actually, if you didn't know, he's actually in the Army band, which is pretty cool. But it's just, especially Riccardo Federici, I would think the art would be great, but just kind of looking at the synopsis of kind of sci-fi thing. I'm not really a sci-fi guy, so that title will not be on the countdown. And Low Woods, I gave that a shot, and for a couple reasons, that book is just not for me. So I kind of gave up after issue 1. So those are the books that will not be on the countdown. So I say we'll go ahead and start. We'll start with a couple honorable mentions. The only reason these are honorable mentions simply because I'm only read one issue of it, so it's kind of hard to gauge my overall thoughts without some more substance. The first one, honorable mention, is Wonder Woman Dead Earth. I thought this was okay start. The art is really gritty, kind of really opens itself into that apocalyptic feel that you kind of see. It kind of has a feel of a book we might see later on the countdown, Batman Last Night on Earth type of thing with Wonder Woman. Kind of has that vibe with it. But good, but it's only one issue in, so really can't really say for sure where this thing is going to go. So put it on my honorable mention. And the last honorable mention we're going to have is Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, book number 1. Same thing, one issue in. But I will say this was just like, putting on a glove back in the day when we had Jimmy Connor and Amanda Palmiotti when they were helming Harley Quinn. And to be perfectly honest, after they left, the book really hasn't been the same since. The title, any of the Harleys, by the way. But this one, a lot of stuff's in here. It's interesting, it has that old Harley feel. But again, it's one issue in. So we'll kind of see where it goes. I have to be honest, this will be probably a high-ranking book if there was more issues into it. But you gotta just understand, with Harley Quinn, you just gotta go in with the right frame of mind. It's a I'm trying to think of a good way to say it. It's just one of those ones where you just go and you just kind of read it for what it is and have a good time. It's a good time book. And this one, it's a good time, one issue in, but again, it's literally one issue in, so kind of hard to rank it on its merit of its own. So those are the 2 books we have for honorable mention. So we'll go ahead and officially start off the countdown with number 11, and that is Superman Year 1. So a couple things that kind of held this book back from being any higher. Number 1, the art. Now, Romita, it's kind of it's inconsistent in this particular title. There's some things he draws really good, and there's some things he just draws not so well. So I'm not going to hash it that hard on the art. So colors are good with Sinclair and Mickey doing inks. So has his highs and his lows with the art, but to me, what kind of bothered me most is the story. The first 2 issues I thought was really, really interesting. Had him going, Clark going into the Navy and things like that. I thought that was really cool, but once it started going into, kind of like the Atlantis route, to be honest, it kind of drug on. And so yeah, like the last, we'll say a little over a third of the story. I think there was only 3 issues. Yeah, there was three. The last little over a third of the story is kind of drug on, kind of went downhill a little bit. The first book I thought was really cool, and like the first half of book 2 was good. But again, once it went into going into Atlantis, it kind of nosedive after that. So that was number 11 with Superman. Number 10. Book I wasn't really going to get, but I'm sort of glad I did. This is The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage by Jeff Lemire, Dennis Cowan, and the inks by Bill Sienkiewicz. Not really a big question guy, but this one, it has this really gritty art and a really layered story that I find kind of interesting. There's a lot of things that are on the nose on here, and be that for what it is. That might be why it kind of keeps this a little bit from being a little higher. But fun. They're kind of going a little extreme with what's going on with Vic in this, but that said, I'm having a good time reading it. So, The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage is number 10. A little more substance with the story, obviously a little better crafted than Superman Year 1. Number 9. And I need some help on here. If anyone could put in the comments how to pronounce this title, because I just can't do it. I think it's Daphne Byrne. Could be wrong. What really sold me on this particular title is Kelly Jones. And a lot with these Joe Hill, Hill House comics, a lot of good like horror vibe with them. And I just thought this was a perfect match, getting Kelly Jones on this title. And it's a weird one. It kind of deals a little bit with the supernatural and kind of reminds me of I'll save it for another reference, because it's actually a better reference one used for a later title. But like a clairvoyant, and then people seeing things that aren't there, and what Kelly Jones brings with the horror vibe in this. I wish I'd have more time to open up, show you some pages in this, but man, it's good Kelly Jones art and a good solid story. The Sea Dogs, to be honest, since I'm not getting Lolo Woods, I'm kind of bummed on how we gotta get like all the Hill House comics to get the whole Sea Dog story. So since I'm not getting low woods. I kind of, whatever on that. But anyway, that's not to bash this title at all. The art's great. It has a good horror vibe to it. I remember the first, I should have grabbed issue number 1. It had a cover on it, and it looked like the vampire from Salem's Lot. And it was just, oh, it was so good. So if you like Kelly Jones and you like horror, this is a good one. Some interesting things, especially what happens in this issue, which I thought was pretty cool. So, but yeah, having a good time with this one. So Daphne Byrne, whatever, that's number 9. Number 8, you might be a little surprised this is going to be this low. I'm pulled out the trade for this one. Batman Damned. Number 1, these Black Label books you're getting in collected trades. They're freaking awesome. Little bummer on the way how these kind of sit on your shelves, and also the way these issues kind of line up in your boxes. But Damned was a good story. It was kind of doing its own thing. The reason why, to be perfectly honest, why I think I ranked this so where it wasn't like a higher number or higher standing on the countdown, it's just the way that they kind of back down with the editorial business. I mean, who cares? You see, the Batwang in issue number 1, and just everyone just lost their mind, and then they kind of censored your stuff. So I think this was the title that it was kind of saying, hey, this is what Black Label is. This is what's encompassing. And then they just kind of away from the intent behind having Black Label with this, and they kind of, bow down a little. They kind of just really soured it. That, and I think they had some of the characteristics of some of the characters and the tropes and the attributes, some of them in here, just felt kind of off. But overall, it's a good story. Bermejo's art is just beautiful in it. And other than some character problems, problems is a bad word. I think Azzarello had a good idea with it. And the ending is very intriguing, but just some hiccups along the way. But to me, I'm having trouble just how DC kind of buckled under the political pressure of all they showed of a Wang. Who cares? It's clearly for adults, Black Label, just enough. And I'm not going to go on this trope of, blame people for responsibility and kids, whatever. We're past that. So this is why I think really it's just the remnants of what happened with Black Label so early on. It kind of makes it where Batman Damned is where it is. Number 7. This, to be honest, Basket Full of Heads. This one, I was really stoked for it. It just sounded like such an interesting premise. After issue 1, it kind of had like a, I know what you did last summer kind of vibe to it. And I know I reference this guy a lot on this channel, and Joshua Hayes Bat Josh. If you watch some of his videos, he uses the term oh Jesus, I can't even say the word. Sadism for sadism's sake. That's what it's something like that. Where you're doing things just to do them with really no meaning behind it, some relevance. And to be honest, the whole thing with her and this magic axe just cutting people's heads off and running around putting them in a basket, to me, I just think it kind of takes away from the story. This would have been a very good story if she just literally on the run for people who are trying to capture her and her boyfriend and what's going on with the money. And I just think the whole premise of the magic axe that might have powers just kind of detracts a little bit from the story. They just kind of went away from that and just made it kind of like a thriller horror type of book. Even if you want, hey, cut the heads off and she's running around in a basket, but she's not having conversation. It just seems a little off. Which leads me to believe, I'm wondering, is this kind of like a vision or something where she's not really seeing what she's seeing? I would hope so. So, to be honest, it's number 7. It's kind of like right in the middle of the pack. But I really had high hopes for this one. And it kind of let me down a little bit, mainly because, again, it's the sadism just for doing it. But beyond that, interesting premise for a story and fun read. Great art. So we'll see. So Basket Full of Heads I have at number 7. Going down to number 6. This one, Joker Killer Smile. This one's very interesting. First off, The art thus far has been really good. Andrea Sorrentino art. I think we got one more issue of this, and then we kind of flip it where we have, like, instead of a Joker killer smile, there's like a Batman centric type of story where we have someone who's trying to help the Joker, and you just see just a way that the Joker has effects on people and their minds, their psychology. I kind of go back to during the New 52 Batman annual, I think number 3. It was right during Endgame, where you had that person that's falling around the Joker doing the story. And even in the back matter with the Pale Man, just how the Joker can just really influence someone's psyche in this. And the twist we had in book number 2 was just awesome. I'm not even going to spoil the twist. I'm just hoping they nail the landing with the last issue in this. I think it comes out actually this week, matter of fact. But great art, interesting story, a heck of a twist didn't see coming. So this was fun. So that's Joker Killer Smile. That's number 6 on the countdown. Number 5, and some are going to be kind of surprised that this actually ranked a little bit higher than that. Killer Smile. This is Joker Harley Criminal Sanity. This is number 3. To be perfectly honest, I didn't read this one yet. I read issues 1 and 2. This one I'm actually going to read right after this. What I love about this, so first off, the art, and I think the artist is switching up. So you get kind of like a good blend of, what you're seeing in present day, and then what's going on in a flashback, and what looks like pseudo-realism art in there. But what makes this such a great story to me anyway, I love CSI. I did. The Las Vegas one, Grissom and Warwick and you name Jim Brass, all of them. And I get a really good CSI vibe to this. This is actually Harley Quinn, not really the psychologist, but more kind of like the crime scene investigator-ish a little bit. You still get a psychology vibe to it, but just the way they bring down crime scenes and the graphic nature of some of these issues is just off the chain. But it's going to be interesting to see. You start getting a little bit of the reveal of the Joker in this. But I just love the crime scene vibe you get in this storytelling. Just really fun. And this one, I think of all the Black Label titles, this one's actually the one I think is going to go the longest. I think Masterful Heads is going to go 7, but I think this one's going 9 or 12. I can't remember. But this one's this heck of a fun read. Great art. Cami Garcia, to be honest, really wasn't a fan before, but what she's doing here in this story, just awesome. So, Joker Harley Criminal Sanity at number 5. Number 4. This one's going to shock some folks. Batman, The Last Night on Earth. Everyone knows who's followed this channel, who knows me, talking to me, interacting with me on YouTube, whatever. You know that I love Snyder Capullo, and I hold that New 52 run as probably one of my favorites of all time. What holds this one back is the ending, to be perfectly honest. Books 1 and 2, interesting premise, great art, but they just went kind of bonkers on the whole thing what Bruce is doing with Joker and who the other, I think Omega, if I remember right, who Omega was. The good thing about it kind of ties up a lot of things that are in their run in the New 52, and it's supposed to be their last Batman story, quote unquote. But to me, the ending just kind of fluttered a little bit. Had a blast reading it, had a great time. It's a good story. It just, to me, the ending didn't stick to me, and that was sort of a bummer. But overall, great time reading it. It's just the way the ending kind of went, to be perfectly honest. So that's why I have Last Man on Earth ranked at number 4. Number 3, Dollhouse. And this one, again, another horror vibe that you get with this story. Basically, it's this dollhouse that has the ability to shrink people, and they basically live in a dollhouse. I gotta watch the TV show series, the new one, but Creep Show on what's that streaming service? I can't remember. They had an episode that I heard the synopsis was very similar to this story. It's great. You get go back to present day and like back to like the early 1800s. It's a really depth story, and the gut punch we had in this issue. Oh, it's I felt so bad. The mother and the child. It's a gut punch. Very layered and a lot of hitting meaning to it to me, I think, and just expertly done. Dollhouse Family, it's always a fun read. Issue number 4. On this one, again, the gut. I didn't see the gut punch at the end coming. So, but anyway, yeah, Dollhouse at number 3. To be perfectly honest, those last two, and again, I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. They really could have gone either way. It was tough to decide number 1 and 2. And I think what comes down to it is one is a little more universe building, and one just kind of lacked the depth. And at number 2, we have Harleen. Such a awesome story. I mean, this one very close to number 1. This one flushes out the origin of Harley Quinn. Some of the holes you might have seen in Mad Love in the Batman the Animated Series, but really goes more in depth of the background of you have the slow demise of Harley Quinn. And the art is just phenomenal. It's a depth story. Comes to the very climax, the very end with Two-Face and Joker, and just it's the slow unraveling fall of Harley Quinn. Person who starts off very sympathetic, and it's a tragedy. And it really flushed out the origin of Harley. Whereas me had a 30-minute episode in the Batman animated series, and to be honest, Mad Love in the comic try to flush out a little bit too. But this one, again, gives it more depth. And when I mean depth, when I was talking about what's going to be number 1, this gives more depth to the Harley character, where someone else might give the next one kind of gives depth to the universe. We'll get to that in a minute, but I cannot highly recommend this thing enough. Awesome read, just awesome. Was I a fan of the Joker character model? Not really, but everyone was on point, and it's just an awesome story. You read it and you're just hooked. Get this one in trade. This one, I'm gonna probably double dip on this one as well. Just an awesome story. Can't recommend Harleen enough. That's number 2. And number 1 for me is Batman. I'm gonna call the White Knight series. This one started off with Batman White Knight. This is the trade that collected it at the end of that. And now we have Curse of the White Knight. And I'm not going to say a whole lot about this particular story other than to say what differentiates, I think, this from Harleen. Whereas that one, again, gives the Harleen character a lot of depth and plugs in a lot of holes that we kind of was missing in her origin story. Whereas Batman White Knight, it just gives depth to the whole Batman universe. And it's off kind of doing its own thing. You kind of hear the term, the Murphyverse with this title. And it's just an interesting dynamic you have with, in the first volume. Again, it's just one long story, to be perfectly honest. It says Curse of the White Knight, White Knight. It's just one long story. The first one with the Joker and Jack Napier, and there was some political messaging behind, I think, a little bit of the White Knight story, but it wasn't like so, in your face that you couldn't really enjoy it. The art's great, and it's tragic. There's another thing you didn't see here. There's actually a Mr. Freeze one shot. It was just great. Then you go into Curse of the White Knight, which kind of gives more of a different take on the Wayne origin, the Wayne family, what's going on in Gotham, which Scott Snyder does so well as making Gotham a character into itself. Well, Sean Murphy has its own little twist on the origin of Gotham and the Wayne family and Azrael and what's going on, or with even Joker's backstory. It's just so good. Everyone has a little twist on the character, the minor little changes. Guess, it's an Elseworld type of thing, but small little tweaks, to Batgirl and Nightwing. And to be honest, no one's safe. I mean, spoilers, we have Alfred gone, you have Jim Gordon gone, have a couple of the rogues gone. I think Bane bit it last issue, and I mean, Sean Gordon Murphy's not afraid to take people off the board. But it's so layered in depth, and the art is so good, and it just gives depth to the Batman universe in a different take. And another title, again, I can't recommend enough. Get out there and support this title. It's good stuff. So, anyway, that was number one, and that was my countdown. Black Label as a whole, good, very good actually. It's enjoyable, and I've saved a couple titles. I mean, it's been a success. So, be interesting if I kind of go back, from a year from now and do an updated countdown, see where any of these titles ranked. Did they kind of move around a little bit after they kind of finished up? But overall, I mean, those are just my thoughts. Hit me up in the comments below if we have some matches, or if you think the order might tweak a little bit, and kind of give your 2 cents. Be interesting to hear everyone's feedback on this. So, don't know when the next video is. I want to go back to Batman. I do. I so do. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on. So, until next video, take care.